talking on, coaching and everything, and, mentioning your superstar influences and players you work with. So
Yeah.
just kind of go through, so how did this journey, start, and sort of, how did you, get into coaching?
Strange one. I used to play. I played Plymouth Raiders under 16s, stuff like that. Came off the bench, wasn't any sort of superstar player or anything like that. Played a bit of Division 3, nothing crazy. And I disappeared off to Spain for a few years, and I was a holiday rep. That's a whole different story. When I came back, I just went to a basketball game in Plymouth just to see what was going on, see who was still around, who was still playing. And a friend of mine called Kane Braddon, who played for the Raiders 2 team at the time, just said, look, why don't you come along and help coach at a couple of sessions? So I came along. I think I was 23, 4, something like that. It was about 2009 when I really started getting involved. And I just volunteered and helped out a couple of sessions. Worked with a guy called Sean Stevens as a kind of an assistant for his under 16s team. And I'm very loose on the term assistant because I had no idea what I was doing. I just liked basketball and I was catching rebounds and helping the guys out. Nothing crazy. And then I got thrown in the deep end really fast. I really enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden, my friend Kane stepped aside. He didn't want to coach anymore. He wanted to spend time, family, everything else. Got work commitments because it's like everyone's volunteers and it's tough. Same with Sean Stevens. He stepped aside. So I was kind of in a position where I was like, oh my, there's like 2 coaches left in our program right now. And my first year as a head coach was coaching under 18s Premier, going up against your likes of Westminster Warriors, Hackney White Heat, Solent Stars, I think it was at the time they were called. It wasn't Solent Kestrels. And I was like a first year coach coaching Premier, and my first game was horrific. My first game was awful. I think we played Hackney, and I think we got blew out by nearly 100. Right? And I'm not proud of it. I had no idea what I was doing, but I had to learn fast. We played them later on in the season. I think we lost by 40, so I'll take that all day long. And we finished 3rd from bottom, 2nd from bottom, something like that. Yeah. And I just had to learn. I had to learn just by looking. At that time, there was no one around me to say, this is how you should coach. This is the advice I'm going to give you. There was no crazy social media platform for me to go on and just get ideas. It was like, I'm just going to watch my guys train, and I'm going to tell them what I think they're doing wrong. And I'm going to tell them what I would do. And we're going to see if it works.
Yeah.
And it was purely about people skills over any sort of technical. That's how I kind of got involved. And then I just kept doing it. I kept enjoying it. I then say the biggest point was at 2012. I was coaching for a few years by then. I got asked to go coach at Southwest, and then I went to Denkamp, and that was when I saw lots of people like James Veer, Steve Veer, Dave Greenway, Don Showwater, Ronnie Baker was there, Teo was there coaching as like an assistant coach as a young player. Loads of guys there, which I went, wow. Luau was there, Aju Deng was there. And I just went, I want to be in this world. Like, this is incredible. And that was probably the point where I really started taking it seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's crazy how, you get kind of thrown into deep end, and then you get exposed to all this other side of the world, and it's like, it opens up, everything. Because even like myself, is when I got injured in university, where I was helping out, assistant coaching, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I just sort of took it like, okay, how I'd improve. Sort of similar to your method as well when you started. So, and then from there, I saw a whole nother side, and it was like, it just kind of was like, I love the game, and I was seeing it from now this side as well, because I'm able to also still love it from this side as well. I knew that, this side, I really do like it
Yeah.
when it's exposed.
It's turning that love into, it's turning it into progression then. And that was the hardest bit for me, because I didn't really have anyone around me who, I lived and I grew up in a little village in Cornwall. I moved to Plymouth and lived by myself. The program at the time was very low on coaches, so there wasn't anyone really you could learn from people, but I think at the time I didn't really know how to learn from people.
Yeah.
I know that sounds really strange. I just didn't know how to process all this information and put it into my own sort of format.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I went to this camp, and these guys just had a massive influence on me. And I then spent majority of my early years coaching and just figuring it out for myself. And I had to put myself out there and put myself and go places and spend money and see people. And, I ended up going coaching with Southwest England, and we went all across Europe, Prague, Poland, Estonia, Belgium, France, coaching under 14 stuff over there, learning from styles of play, learning from other coaches around me in that program. Troy Cully, he was a big influence. He was a young coach coming up just like I was, so we could bounce off each other. A chap called Ben Roper as well, who was a local coach then, who sort of came back into the program. And it was just about trying to figure it out. What was right, what was wrong. There wasn't the big social media thing right now just telling you what to do. So you just had to figure it out. And I think that helped me in the long run, because I didn't have a particular style that was the same to anybody else. It was just my style. I just did it because this is how I think it should be done. I did lots of things wrong, but that's part of the learning process.
Yeah. Especially on touching, with things wrongs and such as well. What were the sort of the main challenges you faced with coaching, especially starting out as well?
The first challenge was, I think, getting early on with, and it's probably still a challenge for many coaches, it's just getting the respect of the players. That was the first thing, because once you've got the respect of your guys, I really think that's half the battle. And you've got to find different ways of demanding respect. Some people can come in and they're just respected because maybe they've got a background where they've been a player, or they've played for a team when they were younger where they won championships, or whatever, right? So you can have instant respect, because I can tell you now, if I open my doors and Luau Dane walks in to coach my guys, they just stop and they'll listen, period, because they know who he is, they know what he's done. So when you're a young coach, you don't have that. Yeah. Especially if you didn't play at a high level before. You're basically just a guy that likes basketball. Right? Yeah. You're a guy that likes basketball and you're willing to help these guys out. And it's just relating to them and investing in them, trying to get to know them and understand them without crossing the boundary of friendship to coach. But you've got to be somewhere in between. Yeah. And they've got to understand that you care for them. When they get that you care for them and you want the best for them, and they see how excited you get when they do something good, I think that respect comes, because they just know that you're there for them. You're not there for your own needs. You're not there because you're getting paid, because believe me, I did 15 years of coaching before I even saw a penny. So it's about just showing these guys that you are there to help them, and basing your coaching around evidence and facts, like not lying to them, not blowing smoke up their ass or anything like that, just facts. And that's me. For me, that's how I overcome that issue. Yeah. And then I guess it's about the competitive side. Yeah. You just want to win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've all played the game. We're all human. We want to win. So when you're coaching, you want to win. So you do whatever it takes to try and win. And I was like that for a long time with my team that I had in Plymouth. We won the Southwest League. I think we were unbeaten. We won under 16s or whatever at the time. And I thought I was on top of the world. Like, I was the man. But I forgot I was in the Southwest Conference, right? So we go up to the Premier and I get a complete beatdown. Finish second from bottom, win 2 or 3 games. And I was like, man, this is tough. I can't do this anymore because I just keep losing. And then actually, it wasn't until I saw the improvement of my players, I went, hold up a minute. This is why we're doing this, right? This is why we're here. Because actually, we've got a group of 14 to 18-year-olds or whatever who are just hungry to get better. And when you can get that in your head as a young coach coaching junior players, you are there to make them better. Once you understand that yourself, and then when you lose a game, you actually just get the video, you look through it and say, how can we improve on this? Like, then it becomes a lot easier, because when you start just worrying about wins and losses, it's a very stressful business.
Yeah.
Leave that to the professional guys, leave that to the BBL and the NBA and the EuroLeague and whatever, right? You're getting paid to win games, you go win games. But when you're with a junior group and you're just there to help them get better, and that's probably the 2 biggest things for me, was just understanding that, and sort of gaining respect from players, and they become easier.
Yeah, you see, obviously, on now with that challenges though, was there, obviously you mentioned, when you moved up and you got a beat down and you got hard, but was there points where you was at a point where it was like, side question, can I really do this and such, and like, so with that point, sometimes if the down bits come, what would you say is the best way to overcome those hurdles and the obstacles when you feel like you've hit a wall?
Yeah, to be fair, I hit the wall recently as well, because you hit it on several occasions.
Yeah.
So I've always been coaching in Plymouth, but I got offered a full-time position, because on top of my coaching, I was also a sales rep for a food company, right?
Yeah.
So I come in, last season was my first full-time paid coaching job, start of it. After all that hard work, I've finally done it. I'm being paid to live my dream. And I joined up with the Plymouth Raiders Academy as a head coach. With the departure of the old coach and the introduction to me, there was a period where I got thrown straight into it because the season was about to start. I didn't have time to recruit any guys. I didn't have time to plan anything. It was like, boom, this is where you're coaching. These are the guys that are left. And we had first training session, 4 guys. I then managed to recruit some kids who liked basketball, and also went to the school.
Yeah.
And I managed to get a team. So we had a team. And that first season, we won our first game. After that, we didn't win a single game. So this is my dream job, my first paid gig. And I couldn't win a single game after game 1. And I didn't have players to call upon. I didn't get to recruit. I didn't get, I had all these excuses under the sun to why I didn't win these games. And I really had to take a step back, because it was stressing me out. It was affecting my home life. And I had to just take a step back and sit with all the guys that I had and said, right, fellas, what do we want out of this season? What do we want? And, it's easy for them, we want to win games. I'm like, right, okay, let's forget about wins, forget about losses. What do we want? And it was about them understanding at the end of the process, are they in the best possible position they can be in the situation they're in to move on to whatever the next stage of their life is. And then we focused on actually getting them into university, and we focused on getting them improving, and we started taking down stats of shooting and turnovers and things like this. And all we focused on was getting better. So we could be down by 20, 30, 40, but we call a timeout. The guys' heads are down, and it's like, right, fellas, don't worry about the score. Next 5 minutes, we're going to go out there. We're going to ensure in 5 minutes we don't turn over the basketball. We're going to make sure every shot that the other team takes contested. If we do that, good job. So we'll do that for 5 minutes, and then we'll put another task in. And then our season became about tasks and improvement in small spells. And it just made the season easier. Now we've gone into this season. Unfortunately, we've got 19 kids in the academy now. But we haven't been able to play a game yet. So, it's been a tough period, from getting your first time full-time gig to not completing the season, and then the season not even starting. So that was probably my wall, I think, most recent wall. And that was difficult, but it's about figuring out how you're going to get around it and putting other things in place, Yeah, that's what I had to do.